We are live here with Dr. Jeri Heyman, PhD, who is the accidental aloe expert, but the best aloe vera in the world. If you want to know about it, she's the one that's going to tell us about it today. So, welcome to our live interviews. And the reason we wanted to bring you here is because your aloe vera and your research is really a game changer for people in terms of their health and even for long-term maintenance. So we wanted to share the specialty about your specific aloe vera, but give us an idea first about how you became the accidental aloe expert.
Okay. It's thank you. Thank you for having me because it's so important that we share this information. I accidentally discovered that there is a new way of processing aloe vera that purifies it completely from all the negatives of aloe. And in that new process, that is unheated. It was the first cold processed aloe. It's actually raw, unheated. Uh, a new method to remove all the toxins and contraindications for aloe. But it turned out that what I discovered as I was trying to prove a health nut friend of mine wrong about that there's this new way of processing aloe and it's turning around AIDS and cancer and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, that's too good to be true. And to kind of basically shut him up, I scoured the research. I am a PhD developmental psychologist. Before I went into psychology, though, I was pre-med and majored in chemistry and was always interested in optimal health, mind, body, and spirit. But this aloe vera challenge just got dumped in my lap as something, I'm a truth seeker by nature.
Great.
Often, that is called being cynical or skeptical, but all of those things. And I set out to prove this friend wrong about aloe vera. And my first reaction, that a lot of you may have too, is I'm not drinking aloe. You can drink aloe. And that was until I scoured and scrutinized the research. I always prided myself on being able to find flaws in research. But when I scoured the research on aloe, on this aloe, this live, new, uniquely processed aloe from Carrington Lab, started researching it when they started putting this aloe in their wound care creams. And so they started studying, all the unique properties, things were healing faster. And they had beautiful research on, I kind of posed as a possible investor in their company, and they sent me annual reports on their FDA approved trials and research with humans. And they documented that this new aloe had immune system empowering properties, had many more anti-inflammatory properties, had regeneration fuels for the growth and creation system of the body. So there was real gorgeous, hard science for me about how this happens. So basically Carrington Lab, the key that brought me into this is because the aloe vera plant is the only plant on the planet that contains the full range of all sizes of fuels that nature makes, all the polysaccharides, all the beta glucans, the full range of all of them, which are designed by nature to fuel specialized cells in the body. And this has all that fuel. And one unique key is that The aloe plant is the only plant that has all of them, but it's the only plant that has the beta-1,4 glucomannan. It's a special size and shape, huge polysaccharide that fits the receptor sites of our body's main white blood cells, our macrophages. Macrophages are the key to regulating, modulating, orchestrating all immune system function, all inflammation throughout the body, hormone balance, blood sugar balance, cholesterol balance, candida balance. It's a balancing act cell. There's about 1,000 functions of macrophages. So sometimes I get long-winded on what macrophages can do. But so this set out, this actually, I was just blown away because it's like, oh, no wonder the aloe, the live aloe is good for so many things, from from HIV to cancer and everything in between, because you're fueling our main wellness cells that orchestrate all healing and health and regeneration in the body. The beta-1,4 glucomannan, the fuel for these white blood cells, our body stops being able to produce itself after puberty, when we are genetically designed to phase out, to deteriorate, when we've passed our, procreation age, I guess. The beta-1,4 glucomannan is plentiful in the colostrum of mammalian breast milk, because it's the colostrum is designed by nature to fuel the completion of the growth of the newborn's digestive system, and to empower its immune system and everything else to get the body going. So here, with this unbroken, purified aloe, it delivers an unlimited amount of this fuel that fuels our macrophages. Macrophages, like I said, do 1,000 things, and I'll talk about the few major things that it does, which is so crucial now. But I also want to say all aging, all deterioration, all imbalance, all dysfunction, all unwellness comes down to our macrophages not being able to keep up. Macrophages control the entire detox purification system in the body, which includes purifying the body from abnormal cells and cancers and crud and junk and pesticides and medications and radiation and obviously viruses, bacteria. So the macrophages do that in many different ways. The macrophages will engulf things to create balance, engulf them and take them out to produce balance. They'll engulf, a virus or a genetically modified, unidentified, eaten object, and anything that shouldn't be in the body, anything that is out of balance to create balance. So it will gobble that up. The macrophages are our antiviral cells. They are the cells that orchestrate the entire immune system to keep the body safe and purified from viruses. So the macrophages are plentiful in the nasal passages, in the throat, in the gut, and the macrophages are everywhere. They're in the brain. They're in, they are our main wellness intelligence functioning orchestrator. So The macrophages can produce poisons if needed, like nitric oxide, and engulf and take out things, virus that shouldn't be there. Also will interfere with viral envelopes to destroy the viruses that way. They signal the production of the antibodies. The macrophages are the targeted cells for vaccines. But the problem with, well, there's many problems with that, but one of the problems is it's a stimulator. The vaccines will want to stimulate the macrophages to get into gear. But if you already have a compromised immune system, compromised, overworked macrophages, stimulating them just causes more problems. So it is crucial to empower the macrophages for all health, wellness, and regeneration of any deterioration or damage that has happened.
I think I just say that if people are listening, this is a foundational, super important process. And even with the aloe vera building up the immune system and the macrophage system and all these things, you're actually encouraging immunity overall and resistance to all disease, as well as encouraging regeneration. Is that a good way to put it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Perfect. And like I said, orchestrates the entire immune system. So healthy, strong, empowered macrophages will prevent cytokine storms, because what happens with what doctors are calling autoimmune disease, it's really immune dysfunction. It's the immune system not being able to keep up. And when the macrophages can't keep up with purifying and antibodies and the whole army, then they will encase whatever in a tumor. They'll take abnormal cells and push them into a tumor and say, okay, later. They want to keep the body safe. They'll throw inflammation at things to, again, cover and protect the body until it can get to it. So with drinking this macrophage fuel, the live purified aloe, you're fueling the macrophages not only to be 10 times more powerful than normal, but also to signal the production of more of themselves, more other immune cells, signals the other immune cells, signals all of that. And then with its empowerment, it says, all right, now it can go to wherever and take down the inflammation, because then it can get to the damaged gut linings to repair them and to fuel the regrowth of gastrointestinal linings, for instance. So it will be able to take down the inflammation when it can heal the real cause.
I think a lot of people know, they've heard the term aloe vera. It comes from the desert in general, but I don't think they've heard of it in such a comprehensive healing potential. But I think one good thing that for the people to understand as well is, how would you compare, compare your aloe vera to others, and how it relates to this immune system boost, this immune system production? Because there's a lot of brands out there, but I know from my own experience that whole food, whole leaf, anything retains all of the special components of nature. So it sounds like the way you've done it is you've kept intact all of the valuable potential and healing power of this herb, this plant. Can you tell us a little bit more how it compares?
Exactly. And that is the key, that only in its whole, raw, designed by nature form will the aloe complex contain and be able to deliver into the body all that it has to offer. And that's been the disconnect between other aloes
Mhm.
and our aloe and the live plant, is that all other aloes, even cold processed aloe is defined as flash pasteurized. So it's still heated. So, I don't know about you, but 30 minutes at 400 degrees, it's heated.
It's
And it
kind of
breaks
heated, yeah.
down the bonds. It breaks down the large polysaccharides, the beta glucans,
Okay.
into smaller ones. And what you're left with, all the aloes, whether they're liquids or powders and gels, they are all broken aloe. So they have small polysaccharides in it, which actually is still probably better than a lot of anti-inflammatory things. So the small polysaccharides in aloe block inflammation, like steroids. It blocks
Okay.
the leukocyte recruitment. So it will block inflammation like that, but it doesn't go beyond the gut, and
Okay.
and it's not active. Whereas when your macrophages are empowered and fueled with the larger polysaccharides in our aloe, you're getting the small polysaccharides also to block inflammation. You're getting plant sterols that block inflammation, and you're getting the macrophage empowerment, which is the entire body's inflammation control
Yeah.
conductor, orchestrator. So you're getting profound anti-inflammation throughout the entire body, not just slightly soothing in the gut or to a topical burn. And you're also getting, at the same time as it takes down the inflammation, you're getting to address the cause of the inflammation itself. So other aloes are all broken. Some have more or less of these inflammatory blockers, but they also all contain toxins. I was going to say poison. I don't know. I never usually say that, but
Okay.
the aloe vera plant. So, okay. So all other aloe products and beta glucan products actually um, are broken. So you have colostrum products, you have mushroom products with a high beta 1,3 glucomannan, not the beta 1,4, but precursors, the good immune um, boosters, and all beta glucan products are all broken. They're elements, and they might, if the beta 1,3 glucan, anyway, it's immune support. It's not direct immune empowerment. So what happens is Carrington Lab, and when I researched this, it's like, okay, so Carrington Lab was studying aloe from our lab and documented its 99.9% success rate with HIV,
Wow.
hepatitis, all sorts of cancers, all sorts of other viruses. They did a lot of research with animals as well. But when Carrington Lab isolated and dried the aloe, isolated the large beta glucans to continue their FDA approved studies with humans for HIV and cancer, it no longer worked. So
Okay.
their patented ace mannan from aloe in its broken form no longer worked on the immune system. It no longer went beyond the gut. It was the results with HIV, hepatitis, and breast cancer, I think it was, and another kind of cancer, I forget. But the results were no better than placebo.
That's amazing. I mean, I think people really need to hear that. of course, the lesson from my perspective is always the whole food is best, synergistic support. Don't break it, don't burn it, don't heat it, and then it's probably the best for our bodies. So I think that's the way people need to understand that.
Absolutely. But the aloe plant has been lost to us because of its powerful toxic defense system. The plant has a layer between the rind and the inner gel of the plant of this latex, the bitters, yellow sap, the laxative, the negatives, responsible for all negatives and contraindications for aloe, is a problem, even in the inner gel of the plant. So there's more misinformation about aloe products because they say, oh, don't use whole leaf, because the only reason the other aloes don't use the whole leaf is because they don't know how to get rid of the toxins when they use the whole leaf.
Okay.
But what they don't realize is, what people don't realize is this toxin, this venom, I call it, is in the inner gel of the plant. And all aloe products do remove it to a certain extent. But ours is the only aloe that actually gets the aloe complex, which is incredibly strong. It has like over 250 nutrients and amino acids and essential fatty acids and all vitamins and minerals and plant sterols, plant growth factors, polyphenols. I mean, go on and on and on, and all the size fuels that nature makes. I forget where I was going with this. I go off on the aloe vera love trail and can't find my way back. So removing the toxin is key. And you guys are only hearing about this now because we are doing everything we can to share this information, but stay safe from the FDA. And there's everything except our website, and now Joe's website will have the truth about the aloe vera. The aloe vera plant, I think this is the only plant or food that I know of where I wouldn't recommend the live plant over our purified aloe force, because the live plant, if you take the gel of the plant, yes, it will have the beta glucans, and yes, it will, deliver all that, but you can only take a small amount before you get violent diarrhea, and it should not be taken daily, and or in high amounts, and it's a toxin. So we actually use the liquid from the rind of the plant, which is 8 to 10 times more powerful than the inner gel. And we use the liquid from the gel. And we take these liquids and then further purify them by getting the aloe complex in its strong enzymes. So that's what I started to say, all the different categories of things, 250 nutrients that are in the aloe complex, but it's all interlaced with all these enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, liver enzymes, all these proteolytic enzymes that in itself do many things. But the enzymes are needed, like you said, Joe, to be able to be alive, to radiate that life force, create that life force, and to read signals in the body, and to get actually drawn right through mucous membranes to wherever it's needed, to the macrophages actually signal for help. They signal for other immune cells, wounds, and cells being attacked will send out signals, help, help, the chemotactic signals, and the aloe gets drawn right to them. So the aloe has no contraindication. So it can be taken during fasting because of what I just said. It gets absorbed right through mucous membranes. It can be put in feeding tubes. We have feeding tube stories. So it's great for fasting. It doesn't trigger digestion. or trigger anything. It just gets absorbed right to the immune cells, right to the cells themselves. Cellular metabolism is incredible. Like I said, it has all the fuels that nature makes. So a lot of these fuels go into the cell itself, bringing its water inside. So the aloe plant is this incredible complex that's strong and has so many live enzymes, being raw and intact. The enzymes are all intact and live.
Okay.
And will go right into cells. So the aloe plant itself is 95% water, 5% solid. So it's these miracle solids that are interwoven all in a base of water. And that's what goes actually into your cell. It's a fountain of living waters going into your cell.
That's
The
amazing.
beta-1,4 glucomannan is the same size as the cell membrane, so it moves right in. It goes into cells 5 times more easily than water. So it's 5 times more hydrating than water, and brings all this amazing fuel to fuel the mitochondria of the cell, to increase cell metabolism so cells push out toxins better. Their cell membranes are stronger. They get stronger to resist invasion and damage. So the cell membranes become stronger and more permeable at the same time. So they absorb nutrients and push out waste better, and they're stronger. In Carrington Labs research, they did a preliminary study to entice all these researchers to drink the aloe and see what it can do before they did their, other studies. And they took blood samples from 6 of the scientists there, and they infected each blood sample with HIV, and they all infected. They had the researchers drink actually 4 ounces 4 times a day for 6 days of the pure aloe force. And after 6 days, they took blood samples again, and they introduced HIV into the blood samples, and not one sample infected. And so they studied and looked at this and saw cells resisting virus invasion. They saw the macrophages, go after and take out the HIV.
That's amazing. I mean, I hope everybody was just listening to what just happened. These are scientists. They drank the aloe, they gave their blood, they exposed it to HIV, and none of the samples succumbed to HIV.
That's right. It took it out. Yeah.
Please tell everybody.
Please tell everyone. If you don't want your cells infected with virus, drink your aloe and empower those macrophages to clear it up. I mean, the aloe also creates alkalinity and oxygenation and antioxidants. So it's many indirect immune support, but it is the only direct macrophage empowerment, the only direct immune support, along with all these other things. So it was just amazing to me that it could work in all these different ways to support, our health.
I think it'd be good to people if you can mention to people so they do know right away about your websites. You have 2 main websites, and they have 2 different functions, I think, so they can.
Right. Herbalanswers.com.
Okay.
Is the website to go to for all the information. I also do these monthly Q&A calls.
You're great.
Thank you. Long-winded again like this, but we try to answer, questions that come up. There's so much that our body does to regrow itself and to stay healthy and purified, and the macrophages are in charge of all that. So we're talking about so many thousands of issues. Herbalanswers.com has a lot of information. Our brochure, I recommend, our usage page, how to introduce it and build to the right usage amounts, as well as an article by Dr. Finnegan, Solutions to Today's Health Crisis, is fabulous as a start. We do like people to register for our monthly Q&A calls, so sign up for the emails on the site, and then you'll get emailed the replays. But I'll tell you right now, the replays they're not public because we have you sign a disclaimer that this information is for educational purposes only. And but it's herbalanswers.com/replay.
Okay.
And you'll find the last. I took a break from doing the monthly calls for quite a while because we were kind of being listened to by the FDA, and I just decided to take a break for a few years and get them to forget about us. But started again because it's so crucial that people are not getting this information anywhere. The aloe experts don't know anything about it. I've talked to Dr. Mercola and David Wolf and lots of people, and giving them samples and trying to, but it's tough when, other people just have other agendas, and, I'm not going to go down that road for whatever reason. I became the accidental aloe expert. God dropped this in my lap because I knew I couldn't let it go. And I vowed, when I saw that this fuels macrophages and fibroblasts to produce new tissue and all these other things, that was in 1995. I made a vow to do everything I could to make this known and available. So,
that's my goal now, to get this information out there.
Yes.
Because, we not only are we in a pandemic, which is kind of a special situation, but in general for health maintenance. And I think it would be good for people to understand that you have two basic types, and it's a drink, comes from the plant. It has your special processing, which means it has all the abundance of nature released with all these amazing, powerful, what I like to hear is macrophage empowerment. But you have two types, and one has herbs and one doesn't. Well, in addition to all the benefits that you mentioned today, what are some practical things you can give people if they want to go to your website right now? Of course, they get a 5% discount code from you guys.
Yeah. The best way to do it right now, is to email us through the website. Let us know you were listening and referred to from this interview, and then we'll email you the information about how you can order and get a discount.
Okay.
And I wanted to say before we go into the herbs that the HIV study by Carrington Lab, and we have a Dr. Terry Pulse has an article. These are all on the website in the library section. Turned around HIV in 3 months, 4 ounces 4 times a day. The pure Aloe Force, 4 ounces 4 times a day for 3 months, and turned around viral load, and all symptoms disappeared in a couple of weeks from having no immune system. It brought back the immune system instantly, and in 3 months the viral loads were down. And I'm mentioning this because, when I first saw it, it's like, whoa, if I could do that for HIV, I need to be drinking this, and I'm the woman who said, I'm not drinking aloe vera. That's disgusting. But actually, ours is not disgusting because we removed the disgusting part. We removed the bitters. So it tastes very pure. But HIV is a fat lipid membrane virus. as is coronavirus. So it's going to, so that's kind of, if it can do HIV,
It can have a good effect on
it
so
can
many
do
things.
anything. The interesting thing about the vaccine protection, we need to empower our macrophages because, and I say macrophage is said both ways, but because a spike protein, like macrophages will produce antibodies aren't really going to do the trick. They will with a live virus. But just having spike proteins around in the body is a macrophage job to engulf and take them out.
That's a really good point.
Getting broken down, they're not, and they constantly popping up everywhere from the messenger RNA one. So I really recommend preventing, getting on the Aloe Force now, to prevent. I also recommend, we don't have a specific product right now because that's another FDA flag, but to do the herbal aloe force skin gel or one of the juices nasally.
Okay.
You can just sniff it or the juice or put it in a nose dropper or a nasal sprayer, in a neti pot, in a diffuser, breathe it in, and a nebulizer, breathing to the lungs. With people many years with allergies and asthma and emphysema, nebulizing. The Aloe Force I recommend as opposed to nebulizing other things, because you're nurturing all the tissues that it gets to.
I think that's pretty critical because the journey of, say, the pandemic virus from the sinuses to the lungs, and if you cleanse the sinuses and you eliminate the cytokine storm, I mean, that's where the critical line of survival seems to be a lot of times for so many people.
Absolutely. And so for prevention is key. I would do it nasally and, swish it around your mouth before you swallow or sip on it so you can, really nurture all the mucous membranes. Because what we found is if you hold it in your mouth, it will get drawn through the mucous membranes right up into the sinuses, right up to the brain. The brain will take whatever it needs, whatever water, whatever it needs, right from the mucous membranes and nasally. Because then, it can save you some money as you don't have to drink as much because you are activating and empowering and fueling to have all your immune cells ready to clear out the virus before it infects cells and gets elsewhere. So we do have the two types of the aloe juice. The herbal aloe force was our first product. I think we had it for 10 to 15 years before we actually put out the pure aloe force. All the research, all my excitement, everything was all done on pure aloe force. So I really talk mostly about that. But when I was the multi-level marketing company that my health nut friend was trying to get me involved with, they switched to a different aloe to save money.
Wow.
I had set up a 100-person, before I started Herbal Answers, I had set up a 100-person AIDS study with Dr. Sanaban in New York City that was about to begin. And a month before we were supposed to begin the study, the aloe changed. It still said whole leaf, cold processed, aloe removed, and it no longer worked. We had, I had about 35 people, friends and neighbors, and people using it, stopped working for arthritis. My now ex-husband had chronic fatigue, cytomegalovirus, fibromyalgia. He started getting sick again. The few HIV people we had on it started getting sick again. So I'm like, go back to the manufacturer who mentored me, to do this research proposal. And I thought I was going to get off the hook. It's like, great, I will get this study done and then everyone will take care of themselves. And I'll go back to my life. And that was 25 years ago. What happened was the multi-level marketing company, Alliance USA, it was called Aloe Plus, I think. It was plain aloe with cranberry in it. And grapeseed extract. And I think it had grapeseed extract. Anyway, I went back to the manufacturer and said, what's going on? It's not working anymore. We're about to start the, the AIDS study. And he goes, well, I don't supply them anymore.
Oh.
I'm like, what? He goes, well, they wanted me to water it down. They wanted me to dilute it and not put that on the label. So this herbal genius who invented this purification process to purify aloe 100% without breaking anything, had such integrity. I mean, he gave up $2 million. They owed him $2 million. And he said, go away. I won't do it. So Alliance USA went to a different manufacturer. Still said whole leaf. So I said, well, it still says whole leaf cold process. He goes, well, it's made from whole leaf and it's mostly cold process. Just pasteurized for 30 minutes.
Oh, boy.
And aloe removed, well, most of it's removed. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what do I do now? We can't run the study.
No, that would be,
we can't run the study I had one little credit card, and so couldn't run the study. And basically I started just going to health. I started buying a little aloe and, I started going to health food stores. So when I started to go to health food stores, I'm like, who am I? Am I a psychologist, child psychologist? I'm not even a health nut. Like I know nothing. I eat, we won't go there. In search of the magic pill, it happens to be a magic juice. But I like, how do I make this known? And so my genius manufacturer, Don Smothers, had also was playing with this live aloe that it could extract herbs. It could be used as the extracting agent, the solvent, to pull herbs into itself. So he was playing with making herbal extracts using just the aloe with no heat, and alcohol, and no heat. And so okay, well, I'll put some herbs in it. That'll call attention to the product. So people will, then I can teach them about aloe. And the herbal aloe force actually got just so infamous that everyone thought that was the answer. It's the combination, not the aloe. So I was like, oh my God. Okay. So here we are again. But anyway, it was a good thing. I know we spoke the other day about the Essiac herbs. The herbal aloe force has the Essiac herbs, but I didn't hear about them until like a few weeks before, well, probably a month before we were ready to produce the aloe. And so when I went to to Don, my manufacturer, to, say, well, can we, put the Essiac herbs in there, and the Powdarco and astragalus and cat's claw and what else do I have in there? Hawthorn berry. And he's like, I don't know, he makes Essiac separately, the powder. He goes, I've made Essiac before, but I've never tried to extract it. It has to be in the exact native Canadian formula that is touted as the underground cancer support. And what do I know? I said, well, just give it a try. Because, well, it could be 6 months. I said, I was like, all right. Calls me 2 weeks later. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. I'm like, what? Because you're not going to believe this. The only way the aloe would pull in these herbs is in the exact native Canadian proportions.
That's outrageous.
So he was right. So you're excited. He was like so excited. He goes like, there's some synergy or some knowing or some, this is beyond, for him, it was like just beyond, that there was something that nature knew that about these herbs or what's needed to pull in the exact combination of these herbs to fuel the creation of an inner environment in our bodies that inhibits all abnormal, growth, all abnormal cells.
Well, for people that aren't totally familiar with Hesiac, which is made by a nurse in Canada, which was a successful cancer herbal therapy used for many years. It was very successful. And there we have a good example of the bottle right there of the Hesiac. I mean, the herbal aloe
Here's
forest.
the herbal aloe forest. I don't have a bottle of pure here. This is the herbal juice. And the herbal skin gel, which is just as phenomenal from the outside in.
Yeah, those are
Yes.
One of the Hesiac herbs, which are in and of themselves are very powerful, and they do have a magical formulation from Native Americans or First Nations in Canada. So if you combine that with all the amazing synergistic qualities of the aloe vera, and then in the right formulation, what you're saying is the right formulation of the Hesiac herb formulation in the right proportions, because it's a formula, became actually more available in the aloe vera. Is that right?
Absolutely. So we have actually, yeah. So let me finish that story. So he goes, so he got the Hesiac herbs. And so I'm like, okay, great. Now can you put in the other herbs too? So again, we have so I wanted all tonic, adaptogenic, safe for daily use in high amounts if needed, because we're doing, formulating this to work with HIV and cancer as well. So ounce for ounce, it's the right proportions of all the herbs to support and fuel and feed the environment and the immune cells and all the cells. The Pau d'Arco, I just learned I wanted to mention, because basically I just kind of went, with the research on, give me a cure-all, give me something that's safe, I took other people's opinions on that. But I just read recently that Pau d'Arco, which I've always known is great for the immune system's antibacterial properties and alkaloids, that Pau d'Arco is known in indigenous cultures to actually normalize damaged DNA. I had no idea. It goes into mitochondria DNA and cellular DNA. So if we have damage or we have gene expression of a problem, which is actually, guess what? Our body not keeping up with keeping us safe.
Right.
That the Pau d'Arco in the herbal aloe forest actually directly addresses fueling the integrity of the DNA and reverse that. So in this day and age of not knowing what the heck these vaccines do, all the protection and the regeneration of health is key to be able to handle everything. So the herbal aloe forest juice, like I said, has all those herbs, but it is 98% pure aloe forest. 2% of the product are the aloe extracted herbs, but it's incredibly potent even though there's just 2% of the aloe extract, because the extract is made, like I said, with the aloe. And it was, tested and researched that the aloe is actually pulling in more of the active ingredients than an alcohol extract or a water extract. And then by being in the aloe, it's being brought deep into the body. It's being absorbed and penetrating 5 times better than water into, and being brought to where it's needed as well. So a lot of times the Essiac formulations, if you're making your own Essiac tea, it's quite a procedure. The Essiac products out there, I don't know, they're all pasteurized. But they're harsh, and it can cause a lot of detox side effects, and you may not be getting the dosages that you need. Other products have had to put in watercress and different things to try to soften the harsh effects of the Essiac. But the aloe takes care of that. The aloe extract itself is so much more gentle, because it pulls in the active ingredients and pulls in way less of any of the toxins. It's like, doesn't want your toxins. All plants have some toxins in them. But then by being in the delivery system of the aloe itself, you're getting so much more absorption and penetration. So we designed the herbal aloe force for antiviral, optimization and for cancer research, so that ounce for ounce, you're getting the right amount daily, of these herbs. So we have a usage page on the herbalanswers.com. Talks about introducing it gradually, like a half ounce. The cap on the bottle is a full ounce. So you can start with a half ounce or an ounce, like 2 to 4 times a day, so spreading it out to introduce the aloe gradually. And so you don't detox all at once. People think, oh, I eat healthy, I eat clean, I do all these things, and I take other aloe, and they'll drink 2 ounces and they'll experience a lot of the body pushing out stuff that it wants to push out.
That's good. Yeah.
So doing it gradually and building is good. And building, so if you take 1 ounce, it's like, I don't notice anything, so then later in the day, take 2 ounces. And if you don't notice anything and you're wanting to get to empowering your immune system, then you can stay at 2 ounces, 2, 3, 4 times a day, which is a great mid-level amount, which I talk about in the usage, and Dr. Finnegan talks about usage amounts. It's great for mid-level things like gastrointestinal issues, not only for soothing and inflammation, but to actually detox everything that's sitting in there, and scar tissue and inflammation and all sorts of crud and pesticides, and will clear it out and regenerate the tissue so they're no longer irritated and raw and inflamed and hot, so you can handle your stomach acid again. Need stomach acid.
Yeah.
But also we want you to ramp up to then, 2 ounces 3 times a day. I feel okay, but I'm still tired. I still got achy joints. I still, I'm blowing my nose all the time. So then you want to move up to 4 times a day, or move to 3 ounces 3 or 4 times a day, to really empower the immune system to do everything it needs to do. The research, was based on the HIV research and cancer, and hepatitis research was based on the 4 ounces 4 times a day of either the pure aloe force, which is pure aloe, or the herbally enhanced herbal aloe force.
Mm-hmm.
Either one is 4 ounces 4 times a day. for at least 3 months. If you have, if you have a chronic, fast replicating situation where you need to stay ahead of the game. So the idea between the 1 ounce at a time versus 4 ounces at a time. I mean, if you're dealing with gum issues or nasal issues or sinus, you can sip on it all day long. But to empower the immune system, be able to get ahead of a fast replicating virus, bacteria, abnormal growth, the 4 ounces at a time seems to be key. And I've looked at that over the years, 25 years. I have a big hepatitis following.
Oh, that's great.
And sometimes people think, well, I'm taking this and I'm taking that and I'm taking all these things, so I only need 8 ounces a day of the aloe, but nothing else directly fuels macrophages.
Right.
This is the missing key to all the other things you're doing. Yes, the aloe force will actually help the absorption. Vitamins and minerals have been shown to be 2 to 3 times more present in the bloodstream when taken with aloe versus water. So whatever else you're doing, take it with the aloe to help the absorption of whatever it is.
I think that's pretty important for people to understand. In terms of just absorption, the efficiency of their foods, it sounds like it's a cofactor to increase the bioavailability or the uptake of vitamins and minerals, which makes the vitamins and minerals even more important.
Absolutely. And not only that, because right now, people's like, oh, they have like a horrible digestive system and they've got leaky gut and irritable bowel or whatnot, and Lyme disease and, and cancer and like all these things at once. And it's like, now you want me to deal with the pandemic? Like, help. It's like, quit. And they're so stressed out because like, all right, I got to eat alkaline. I got to drink a lot of water, which you still should do. I have to change my digestive system, which are all things that we should have been doing all along. But the beauty about the aloe is you don't have to wait for improved gut linings for better absorption. Yes, that will happen. But you will get immediately absorption of the aloe and anything put with it right through into the lymph system, right into the bloodstream, so that it doesn't depend on a healthy digestive system. Also, the aloe, when we talk about the macrophage fuel, macrophages are in charge of balance, hormone balance.
Wow.
When you are stressed and you release all this adrenaline and cortisol that interfere and are acidic and all sorts of problems, plus we feel horrible.
Yeah.
Taking an ounce or 2 of the aloe force, drinking it down, will activate the macrophages to say, okay, rinse out, let's rinse out the stress hormones and bring it back to balance. So we're having people, and I've seen it work with kids with blood sugar issues, like mothers, like, they're great until they go to a birthday party and then they eat all the sugar and they come home and they're bouncing off the walls. I had a mother call me, actually. She goes, the kid was bouncing off the wall normally, and I have to do all this stuff and it takes hours for him to calm down. She gave him an ounce of the herbal aloe force. It was, and in 10 minutes, he was calm, sitting down, watching a movie. So it activates what the body needs. That's what's so beautiful about this core fundamental, as you put it, fuel. Yes. It fuels our body's intelligent wellness cells that orchestrate it all. So you don't have to know what's wrong. You can have 100 things wrong with you. The key is that all those things are wrong or out of balance because there wasn't enough macrophage empowerment. Right. And here you are fueling your body's own intelligence to do what's needed, where needed, in exactly how much, to rev up the immune system, to shut it down, to modulate, to detox and purify. as
That
well.
sounds great. Yeah,
And
I
it
mean, it's just
works with everything. Anything else you want to do,
yep,
zeolite or charcoal, or to rinse the body, the binders are great. It will help the macrophages actually clear out more if you have the binders, because it helps remove the waste products from
sounds really
the system.
amazing in terms of. So a couple of things. First is for the people out there and that are looking, watching, if you could put in your questions for us, how you use aloe vera. If you have any questions, we do have some questions coming up. But immediately I think of a couple of things that I'd like to recap from all this amazing information. I'm going to have to watch this video probably about 25 times because I got to do my homework on this. So for sure. But number one is, I think, which you mentioned earlier, which is it's very alkalizing, which means it increases oxygen, which reduces hypoxia and inflammation. And number two is this is going to be so powerful inside the body. And what you just mentioned now is I would maybe even combine this with some clay therapy to help to remove all the stuff that's being brought out as the macrophage, as the aloe vera is generating. If you could answer briefly on that, and then I'd like to get to a couple of questions right away.
Yeah, absolutely. The clay, is a great, binder to help take out what, toxins in the body and metals and whatever. And the aloe force will just help increase, it will be able to release stuff right to the clay. So it'll work together to actually bring the clay to where it's needed, and to be supported to be able to work better, because it does have the support of the clay to remove
Wow.
waste products. So it's key. Yeah,
Yeah.
the alkalizing is really important, but it's pH balancing throughout the entire body, because the macrophages
Yeah.
will control the proper pH, because blood pH is kind of hard, sometimes takes a lot of, gastrointestinal wellness to get to the point where the blood pH will be normalized, but the aloe will do it immediately.
I mean, even the idea, I mean, some cancer therapies use proteolytic enzymes and different things for inflammation and specialty doctors. So, I mean, it's a win, 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 win. I don't know what else to say, but
Yeah. And taking proteolytic enzymes or other enzymes or some probiotics. I mean, the aloe does help fuel the macrophages to create healthy microbiomes throughout the entire body. But you can add extra probiotics. The aloe, the small polysaccharides in the aloe fuel the good bacteria, inhibiting candida, and just provides the environment to inhibit
great.
candida growth and the inflammation. And one thing I love about the aloe, as opposed to medications or other anti-inflammatory things or oxygenating things, is that you're fueling the body to do what's needed. You're not stripping inflammation away from something that should not, it should not, that is going to cause, problems. You're fueling the body's healing and wellness.
Yeah, the actual
Inflammation.
innate system of the body kicks in to do the good work. Here's a quick question.
Mhm.
Are there any contraindications with blood thinners given some of the herbs used?
Absolutely not. There are no contraindications with blood pressure medication or any medication. We had it tested with doctors way back in the beginning with Coumadin was like the big,
Yeah,
it has just so many no-nos, and every herb and the aloe tested great
great.
for it. The aloe, when you and that's another beautiful thing about the aloe fueling our macrophages, because if you're taking medication and it's controlling the blood pressure, then the macrophages are not being signaled that help is needed. So it doesn't interfere.
Okay, it's not going to compound a medicine. That's usually the worry of people.
Yeah, I mean, it could help absorption. It could help side effects from medications,
Good to know.
including hair thinning and hair loss, and nausea. For fabulous for people to doing chemo. 8 ounces a day if you want to just support so you have no side effects or, liver damage or, protect the body from the toxicity of chemo. But 4 ounces 4 times a day, 16 ounces a day if you want to also empower the macrophages to join in. It does not interfere in whatever medications are going on. It's bizarre to me because the body just does, it doesn't see that as the problem. It's there to, purify the body and regenerate health and balance. So there's absolutely no contraindications at all for our aloe, for any medication or treatment or other herbal regimens. For Ayurvedic types, it's the only tridoshic aloe or herb, even the herbal aloe forest, because aloe is normally other aloes are considered, damp and wet and cooling and
Right.
but our aloe is live. It's unbroken. It will fire up your immune system. It fires up your metabolism. It fires up your energy producing system and also soothes and is anti-inflammatory and regenerates tissue. I was thinking there's research by Dr. Robert Davis who did research with fresh aloe topically, and he's the one who documented some of the absorption biological vehicle research. And he said about our aloe, it goes like, it's unbelievable that you could have something that's profoundly anti-inflammatory and immune empowering at the same time, because all anti-inflammatories usually
the immune system.
suppress the immune system. So, and to regenerate tissue, that's what gets me, is not only, the macrophages, I guess I didn't say this, macrophages, in addition to the properties we've talked about, produces and signals the production of human growth factor, stem cell production. So it actually, the growth factor will fit the receptors of the fibroblasts that produce collagen, elastin, new tissue. So whether it's cartilage, bone, muscle, cardiovascular tissue, skin, wrinkles, gut linings, whatever it is, you're fueling the body's creation.
I think that's so important for people to really get an idea about that. Number one, it helps to regenerate, but it also helps to grow new stuff, regenerate, all within the enabling of the abundance of the resources within the body itself.
Exactly.
And not replacing anything like a medicine does, but actually enhancing the actual innate abilities of the body itself, which is just why it's so good and why it has no side effects, because nature doesn't really want to hurt us.
Right. And our macrophages control that. It's not going to do something, it's not going to produce, like we take collagen, people take collagen. I don't know how much gets absorbed. I don't know how much gets used, but you don't want to over collagenate, like your body, you'll become a solid. I'm in love with this aloe because it fuels our cells. It's fuels and our intelligence, and it fuels, it's not going, it's going to do things in the right order with the right protection, and it's not going to stimulate anything or, cause imbalance. When we I see people with their 20 bottles of supplements, and I think about my father with his 20 bottles of prescription drugs. It's like,
Wow.
what are we doing? You can't pour all those supplements into a bottle, add water, and grow a body. It just won't happen. I love that the aloe force fuels the macrophages to know what's going on, know what's needed, and to signal the production of, glucosamine and chondroitin for joint pain. As it's taken down inflammation, it's signaling the production of the lubrication and regenerating cartilage. It's not just, and it won't take down the inflammation until the knee or the hip or the whatever can handle it, which is just mind-boggling how this could be so incredibly amazing. And it's because it's the aloe plant in nature's design. It is the fountain of living waters that was promised if you follow nature's design. You're forsaking all others. We can't improve upon the aloe plant. And that's another thing I love, except for removing the toxin, but it's not really part of the aloe. It's just part of the plant to keep the aloe safe. Is that it does sound too good to be true. And was the biggest, cynical skeptic at the beginning of this. If you would have told me I'd be right here 25 years later, I would have laughed because I don't believe it. But the science is real. The aloe is real. It's unbroken. I mean, there's got to be a reason why the Egyptians called the aloe plant the plant of immortality.
Right.
And now no one's talking about aloe except us. And it's so heartbreaking and it's so frustrating. So everyone listening, we really need you to try to prove us wrong, because that's the way you'll find out what the truth.
Yeah.
And then the aloe didn't disappoint. Science was real. The aloe was real. And I have every week people come up with, things that I never heard before. 25 years later about their different ways of using it and what it can be good for. And it's profound, and it is a shame, that it's just not known yet.
I think
shame how long it takes for things to get known,
Well, it's been around for thousands of years. It should have been already more mainstream, but we'll get there. And then I do have another question from someone.
Sure.
Because they want to really get an idea. And this brings up a really important point. We're talking about cells and regeneration, macrophages, heightened efficiency of everything. If you think of the central nervous system, of course, those are nerves as well. And somebody is specifically asking about neuropathy. So neuropathy can be many things, of course, a blockage on the bioelectricity or the nerve inflammation or different things. So it sounds like it's also going to be helpful for something like neuropathy, especially for people with diabetes that are hopefully removing it. But in general, just for neuropathy, what would you have to say?
Yeah.
What works with that?
Well, neuropathy is, like you said, it's the macrophages that are going to be empowered to get to the cause. And then after it gets to the cause, it will regenerate the nerves. It'll take down the inflammation and will just regenerate healthy nerve structure and conductivity. And we've seen this, I want to say first with, nerve health and regeneration in general. We've seen seizures disappear, seizures that nothing else touched, and no idea. This one woman had 6 seizures a day since she was 3 years old, and she was in her mid-20s. And she actually couldn't afford more. She did 2 ounces 3 times a day. And in 2 weeks, her seizures stopped forever.
Wow.
So we know that, no one knew what was wrong, but the body knew. Body knew what was wrong and what it needed. It just needed the fuel to do it. We've seen reversal with MS, brain lesions, myelin sheath regeneration. But with,
Yes.
with neuropathy, there's layers to get to, the neuropathy. So it can take a while, depending on your dosage, depending on everything else, how many things are going on in the body before it can actually get to creating healthy nerves and nerve communication. With diabetes, there's studies by Ivan Danhoff. There's some research on herbalanswers.com. In Ivan Danhoff's research, he's continued over the years to do research with diabetes and aloe, because actually some of the small polysaccharides help with diabetes, with sugar balance in the body, reduces cravings. But with the macrophage empowerment as well, you're helping to regenerate insulin receptor sites, which is key for brain health, for gut health, for blood sugar balance. Usually people with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, we're looking at like 2 ounces, 2 or 3 ounces. Well, 2 ounces 4 times a day, or 3 ounces 3 times a day, or at least it needs to be several times during the day to keep the blood sugar balance and the insulin down. So that, but if I had neuropathy along with that, I would probably do as close to the 4 ounces 4 times a day as you can, because then once all of the damage and deterioration on levels you're not feeling yet, reverse, we don't know. The body will prioritize the neuropathy. So it needs to clear up other things that it's causing it before it then heals and regenerates.
That's great. I mean, like I say, I mean, it's so smart. Go ahead.
And the skin gel. Put the
topically, yes.
on in the whole area, massage it in anywhere that hurts. I do this, laying in bed or watching TV, I'll just poke around my body and, ooh, there's a spot, and I'll rub the gel into it, because we, just daily
life
stuff gets to us. But in the feet, in the legs, wherever, because the aloe goes through, the gel goes through all the layers of tissue to the bloodstream and tissues below, bring in the blood flow. So if you see the area get red, it's because, wow, it's bringing blood flow, which brings what? More macrophages. So
there you go.
It works intensely topically and below the surface, bringing the fuel locally. So in addition, and how often, as the more, the merrier. A little helps a little, a lot helps a lot. Every time you put it on, you're getting a new, application. I hate to say dosage, because FDA doesn't like dosage, but every time you put it on, you're getting a dosage. So to help locally while you're helping internally to do all that's needed to undo the damage, and think about how long you've had an issue, how severe it's been, to really just invest in knowing that your body's going to take care of the life-threatening things first, and then get to all the levels of healing. I know when I was first drinking the aloe, I had all sorts of issues that just started going away. I was taking 2 ounces twice a day because I was healthy. And realized, wow, it totally redefined my concept of what health is.
That's great.
Because my sinus drip went away, never had another sinus infection, haven't been sick in 25 years. Because I vary the aloe. First sign of a throat or a couple of sneezes, and just up my dosage to therapeutic dosage, or 4 ounces before bed. And I will say the first year being on the aloe, and mostly being on 2 ounces twice a day, and using a lot more when I was starting to get sinus infections. It took a lot more to prevent. If I knew more about prevention back then, I wouldn't wait till I got a sinus infection. But when in times of stress, in times of, when you just feel tired, that's the time to increase your dosage. It's much more cost effective to destroy 100 viruses than trillions, the next day. You want to prevent, it's just, cost effective. And then the second year I was doing the aloe regularly, I needed much less. I could get swollen glands and then just drink 4 ounces before bed, wake up perfect. So your health is yours. You gain health. You're clearing out stuff from, I don't know how many years, you had, and regenerating. That's yours to keep. I was shocked when we were talking about my ex-husband, who was drinking like 4 ounces 4 times a day because he was just feeling great and never got sick, and after being so sickly. And then we split up, and when he remarried, whatever, he was not whatever. There was no aloe force in his household anymore. And he stopped drinking the aloe force. And I thought, oh my God, poor guy, he's going to get sick again. It took 10 years for him to get a cold.
Wow.
I was shocked. I thought he'd be like down and out after a year. I was like, whatever. It's real. You're regenerating your body. I mean, I regenerated my skin. I mean, I had hormonal acne and scars and all sorts of hormonal issues. Women, I had not one menopause symptom, except when I wasn't taking my aloe for like 2 days in a row or something, I'd start to get night sweats. And it's like, wait a minute, and here I am, 68 years old, and no symptoms of, no symptoms of menopause, or because their body, there's even women who've had their ovaries removed. There's other glands in the body that can produce estrogen in the right balance. The balance is key. So all hormone health for all of us as we age, it keeps us going.
Yep. And I'll just read what one person said, that they were asking, and they said, yay, I'm on anti-seizure meds, so it'll be good. And I know some people that have seizures since they were children. Every 5 to 6 weeks, they would have a seizure.
A hormone thing?
And it's been going on. Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it? It sounds like it's been going on for many years. So this may be a good option for them.
Fantastic. And fantastic. And if it is, a brain, seizure, it's really good to hold the aloe in your mouth a little bit, swish it around before you swallow, so it can go directly up. You can also put the gel, the base of the skull, in your neck, which feels so good anyway. And do that. The gel is safe vaginally, rectally, in your eyes. Has colloidal silver in it. Has the herbs that are in the herbal aloe force, plus green tea and hyaluronic acid, and in the form of sodium hyaluronate, actually more absorbable, and a little colloidal silver. And I just prefer it in the eyes than the juice, because the pH of the gel is nice and soothing to the eyes, for everything eye health, but also that goes to the optic nerve and and to the brain. Had a woman, speaking of just the brain and the eyes and seizures, she had this woman had intense headaches for 4 years. She worked in a health food store, saw a rep, and her rep said, "Are you drinking the Aloe Force?" She goes, "Yeah, I drink, an ounce a day. I love it." And he goes, "Well, I just listened to Dr. Jeri, and she said, why don't you just try the 4 ounces 4 times a day?" And I urge all you to do this. Once you get on the aloe, try doing the medicinal dose for like a few days.
Yeah.
And see the type of energy that your body can produce. So she said, "All right, I'll try it." So it was the herbal aloe force. She drank 4 ounces 4 times for 2 days. The third morning, she woke up and she had all this like goo in the corner of her eyes. So she's wiping the goo, and it's coming and it keeps coming. And I don't mean to gross you out, but so she went into the mirror and she's like, "Whoa, it's like this black stringy goo coming out." And all of a sudden she's just like, "My headache is gone." And that's just a great example for who knows what the heck was in there. And you don't have to know, even though I really want to know, but you don't have to know. But the macrophages decided this junk was too toxic to take it out the normal elimination ways, and it took it out the first exit it could. It's a good thing it didn't come out of your scalp, or that's what happens with skin, right? Sometimes things will get pushed out the skin. Use the gel and the juice for any of the skin detox. But that story is just amazing, that we don't have to know what's wrong.
Nope, the body knows how to fix it.
The body knows and is going to do it the best way.
Yep. Yeah, really. We can't figure it out. They'll figure it out. So what I'd like to do is mention the website again, herbalanswers.com. Your person, Robin, said that they can use the code Anusara. Anybody who's watching can actually get a discount. And then, so it's herbalanswers.com. And then there is one last question we have.
Oh, so you asked what you were saying. Okay. So hold that thought, because you can go directly to, well, don't we need your link?
She just set this up so people can have a discount right away for you guys.
Okay. So you can also go to aloeanswers.com, but go to herbalanswers.com and we'll get you. Okay. Anusara is okay.
Either way, just go to
Anusara. Just make sure you have the coupon code. Cool. Great.
The woman who said she had the seizures, it was from a craniotomy, but then there was also a question, can it be used with pets? And I would say,
oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic with all pets, even pets that, cats, you're not supposed to, aren't supposed to do aloe. All contraindications, all negatives for aloe vera do not apply to our aloe. Look at our website.
Oh,
so cats, dogs, exotic birds. We grow horses, we grow hoofs. Bizarre.
Pretty cool.
Dogs. Actually, Carrington Lab did get USDA approval for veterinary use with injectable acemannan as a treatment for feline leukemia and fibrosarcoma in cats and dogs. That's as far as they got before they went bankrupt or actually sold out to Medline that suppressed all the research. So we know it works with any mammals, because the beta-1,4-glucomannan is the mammalian, fuel for macrophages. Except I say that, but it's also good for everything. You can take the pure aloe force and put it in a spray bottle and spray your vegetables, fruits and vegetables. They will last so much longer.
Wow.
The Egyptians putting aloe in the mummies, and they open it up, hundreds of years later, and there's still skin. Aloe.
Okay,
Live aloe.
great. Well, I think I
Oh,
think
let me just say this. I'm
go ahead.
sorry, because
You-
I know, I'm sorry, I'm rude, but
No, 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 go for it.
for cats,
Yes.
how do you get, you know, finicky cats? Sometimes, you can just get them to lick it off your finger. Dogs, you can put an ounce, or two in their food. They eat it up. But the gel, actually, the animals are very like sensitive. You can put the gel, rub it on the fleshy part of the cat's ears
Oh,
or
yeah.
on the belly, anywhere there's thin skin. The gel will go all in. I think there was someone so into cats, and they were experimenting, and just by rubbing it into the cat's ears, they coughed up and got rid of hairballs.
Oh,
You'd have to do it a lot if for leukemia or
yeah.
whatever, and try to squirt it in their mouth, but or putting the gel on. It's edible. You can ingest it. I mean, you wouldn't drink a whole thing of gel, because why would you? But you can. Um, but sometimes for animals, if you want them to ingest it and they just won't do the liquid at first, you can dilute it, put it with something that they will eat. That's
Okay.
always good. And then they feel the difference, and then they know. I had one person with a dog who would not eat his food
Oh,
until she saw him pour the aloe on their food.
oh,
And she
my
was
God.
testing it, and pretended, dog looks, just sat there, looked up at her. Bizarre. But I know my sister had a dog. He didn't like it in the water, didn't, and she was too lazy to put it in food. And so she was putting the gel on his paws, and he would lick it off.
Okay.
It was great. Got rid of tumors and things.
Wow.
Um, but then she accidentally spilled some aloe on the floor and licked it up. So what does she do? She pours the aloe on the dog's paws with a puddle, and he licks it up.
That's great.
Animals are funny.
Animals,
They respond very quickly because they don't have the stress we have. They don't have the diet, that we have in the environment. They're more,
yeah,
they respond really, really well.
that's great. Well,
And
we
infants, newborns, babies.
newborns too.
Absolutely. It's better. It has all the feels of nature. I would love to see some studies done on the pure aloe force as formula. You
Wow.
need more protein, but it does have all the essential amino acids in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fantastic. And also with diabetes, I wanted to recommend that you could use the 4 ounces of the aloe force, 3 or 4 ounces, as a mini meal, throughout the day,
Wow.
or as your meal. It
Great.
will help to balance the blood sugar, and to be, the constant, source of fuel. So you don't reduces cravings.
Reduces
And
cravings. That's good to
and
know.
for all of us, when we do go off the deep end and we do eat a lot of sugar or whatever, we shouldn't drink some aloe right after. So you don't have to suffer the effects of having done that.
Great.
Or people like, well, you want to end on a sweet note, then you're going to have to add a little juice to the aloe.
Okay. Great. So, well, I'd like to thank you for. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share this great information. If people aren't kind of blown away by all this amazing information, and like I say, you do it right, the way you're making this product is done right and for the right reasons, and it's really doing a great job. So I have a shout out to all mammals. Go for it. And then and we've blasted through over an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
And we've got a million other things we can probably talk about. So we might have to do it again. But I would
Right.
just like to say thank you very much to Dr. Jeri for being here. It's a great opportunity. I want everybody to do this. I personally have lots of cancer patients in my practice, and I tell them to do this during chemo and things like this. It's a it's a lifesaver in many ways. So this is the real deal for people. That's why we do these interviews for people to get this information, and I want to share it. And please tell everybody about it. And this is the only kind of aloe vera that I personally recommend, and that anybody should even think about. And it is amazing. Nature is our greatest resource for healing. So thank you very much, Dr. Jeri. And if you have anything final to say to everyone, I'd love to hear
Just
what you can say.
thank you so much, Joe, for all the work you do in bringing the wellness and the latest news, to your audience. It's so crucial that we share with each other the truth, because, in 20 years, the live aloe may be a household name, but we need it now. And you're hearing about it now for some reason. And if we're drawn to be listening to this and to go to the website Herbal Answers and read to your heart's content, ask questions, give it a try, because it's real. Even though the experts and your other health practitioners, don't know about it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it is new information. It's a new way of purifying and protecting and delivering the live aloe vera complex to you. And it's a unique way of processing the aloe that can deliver all the live plant has to offer us. So it is the fuel for our body's creation and wellness, and it can give you the health confidence that you need to reduce your stress and know that your body is more powerful than all the medications and all that. And with all the energy work that you all do, it is all about energy. We have the Krillian photos
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
on our website. Do I have them? Actually, let me
For
grab
people
them.
that aren't aware, Kirlian photos basically photograph the chi or life force energy of food or ingredients or
Right. So we put the liquid aloe right on the sensors for the Aura photography camera.
Okay.
And this is the light in the herbal aloe force, the white, pink, gold healing frequencies, and the pure aloe force is there. And I guess I'm told it's not the amount of light, but it's the frequency. And there's the white, gold, pink, lavender healing lights that are foremost. And this is the aura photographs for some other aloes. And they're basically nothing. What's interesting is the one over here, whoops, this one actually has more aloe than this. This is a leading, it's like, actually it's lily of the desert. And this is George's, which is water. George's fits the molecular fingerprint of George's aloe was superimposed on the tap water of Dallas, and it's the same, but pure water, it's distilled. So pure water has much more energy than aloe that has been pasteurized and still has toxins in it. And this is the energy that's shining and radiating off of the aloe force, the pure and the herbal. It is lighten up your life, lighten up your immune system, light up your health. And you feel better. So you're happier and you're vibrating at a higher level and you're moving forward.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
And like I say, I'm going to watch this about 25 times so I can do my homework to
well, we can transcribe it. So we can
transcribe it. That's it. And play it in my sleep. Then you get it in your sleep.
But yeah, so gather more questions from your people and we can do this again.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day for everyone. We had a lot of people checking in on us and
Great.
spread the word. and it's great stuff. And thank you again. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Be well.
Okay, take care.
Bye.